Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining in. So you can watch this either live on YouTube, or if you're watching it pre-recorded after it's come out, be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of some of today's questions. So each and every week I answer questions from our Patreon and YouTube channel members. They help support the channel. You guys really help me. It makes such a difference not being as reliant on advertising, and your support really does help keep the website and everything going on with everything that's going on. So just seeing here who's in the live chat, we've got Matt, we've got Miles, we've got Caleb, we've got Keenan, we've got Bob Patrolling, so Sooner, Babak, Knoxwave, Chris. Hello to all of you. So you can become a YouTube channel subscriber for free, and obviously you can become a YouTube channel member as little as $5. Again, all helps. Or you can send in questions using the super chat. Again, your guys, really, your support does make a massive amount of difference. So I got lots of questions today, a lot of them around like D23. I am not kidding. I was this close to nearly being like, I clicked go live and I was set it all up, and then suddenly accidentally closed the browser, so I had to quickly get everything set up again in the 20 seconds from the point where that countdown kicked in. So that was a fun little start. So nevertheless, let's jump into it. Let's jump off with some of today's big questions. Miles asked, what were some of your favorite announcements from the Walt Disney Studios Showcase at Destination D23? So if you aren't aware, today, Disney is holding its biannual Destination D23 event in Walt Disney World. It's an event where they bring together thousands of diehard Disney fans, and they put on presentations, and most of it is really around like the legacy and theme parks. But they did have a presentation. Now, a lot of the problems with Destination D23 is it gets compared to the D23, the Ultimate Fan event, which takes place every 2 years, generally alternate years, the different year to Destination D23. And that has big presentations where we get lots of announcements regarding movies and shows and trailers comes out. Last year, they put it into a big Honda Center, and it's a big event. They've just announced it's going to be returning next year in August in Anaheim. Once again, going to be in the big arena for the big presentation in the evening. And there's a lot of information that comes out. So the Walt Disney Studios Showcase at Destination D23 is a lot lighter, because obviously the Hollywood stars, it's a lot more expensive to fly them out, when it's in California. Most of them are just down the road, and that's kind of it's a kind of a bit of a lesser event. So I went into it not really expecting there to be any news. Some people get really carried away. There's a lot of clickbait social media accounts kind of hyping it up that there's going to be all these trailers and this stuff, and it's like, no, that's just not what this is. So they did show off some bits and pieces to those in attendance. I think they got to see a little bit of Toy Story 5. They got to see a little bit of the new Tron movie. I think they got to see a little bit of Mandalorian and Grogu, a little short clip featuring the directors and Paul Rudd from Avengers Doomsday. There was no footage or anything shown off there. They announced a new Diary of the Wimpy Kid film is coming out in December on Disney Plus. They also confirmed the next Walt Disney Studios animated film is called Hexed. That was probably the big announcement. That's the one for me that I was like, okay, a nice new original film coming out in, I think it's 2 years time. That one is definitely the announcement I wasn't expecting, but I'm glad that's got out there. They also just confirmed some of the Pixar stuff that's happening with Poppers and stuff. Again, nothing massive coming out of there. There was a few nice little articles and stuff that I put up. I got a couple of videos going up over the next couple of days covering some of it. But I would definitely say Hex was my favorite announcement. As I said, Destination D23 is a much more smaller scale event. It is not at the same level that the D23. I think that's the trouble, is that the D23 name sets it up, because D23 holds events all over the world all the time, but this is like their big event. And I think there's a bit weird as well of why they made so many announcements about some of the attractions and cruise lines like a week ago. I don't get why they didn't hold that back, but again, maybe they just they didn't want to put on a big presentation because then expectations get too big and they can't deliver on that at the minute. So they're just trying to work all that out at the minute. So that's going to be interesting to see how all that comes together. But I'd definitely say Hex was the big main thing that I liked. The fact that got announced and we know what that is. It's nice to see a new original film coming in. Hopefully people go support it. I think this is definitely something Disney needs to be more aware of. They've got to put a little bit more effort in on these original ones to kind of do some promotion. But let me know what your favorite announcement was so far. I'm just going to go through. Aaliyah says, for normies, do you think the Destination D23 name should be changed? Is it confusing the hassle for Disney, or is it just a bubble perception? I think the trouble is that the D23 is the name of the club. It literally is, that's the name of, the D23 is the name of the club. So I don't think it's necessarily the fact that they're going to change the name, but I don't think Disney sometimes does a very good job of getting at what D23 actually is sometimes. I know they're starting to bundle it in with Disney Plus. But personally, I mean, I get what they do with this D23, but at the same time, personally, if I was running them right now, I would actually I know they get extra money from D23. I would probably just roll it into Disney Plus myself and scale it back a little bit. So, and you can maybe do a special package for Disney Plus subscribers if they want to buy some merch and just run these events and just run. I don't think they needed. I don't know how much money it brings in. I mean, I just feel like D23 it's a little bit of a weird naming convention. That's definitely could be it. So Babak says, how many people attend D23 and D23 destination? So I think the Disney Colorado Springs, maybe a couple thousand, I think at max in the convention center. D23 over in Anaheim, I believe it was like 100,000. I mean, at last year's D23 in Anaheim, I think the Honda Center was like 14,000 in attendance for the main panels. So again, you can see the difference. They had to move it into the arena because more people could watch the presentations. Kelly says Disney's marketing can be inconsistent and complex. Just look at how many wrestling fans got scared when they did the announcement for ESPN Direct to Consumer. Yeah, I think this is a problem that I think a lot of companies get into. They get a bit too close to it, and they can't see the wood for the trees and can't quite work out why things are so confusing. I think the name of the ESPN streaming service, I get where they were going for and what they were trying to do. But I think it would have made much more sense just to have made ESPN, just gone with ESPN Plus and upgraded it. Yeah, it was definitely a weird one. I'm just going to try and keep on this one. Elias says, my first thought on Hex was beyond general excitement is that they'll have a flywheel connection with Villains Land. Maybe, yeah, that could be it. Babak says he saw a lot of confusion with the new ESPN. What can Disney do to help people understand? I think for me, the big thing what they've got to do is streamline and get rid of the 2 tiers. So it's just ESPN Unlimited, and rather than having the 2 tiers, I don't think that's helping. I don't think that's going to be around for too long. But I think it's just like, I still think ESPN Unlimited or ESPN Plus would have been a simpler way for people to understand what that is. I get what they're doing, and it's all in one, and you get it. But I don't know. I think, again, Disney, sometimes they get a little bit risk averse to upsetting the apple cart, and I think that's what it was with ESPN Plus. I'm just going to keep on this one. Matt says, do you think D23 is worth going in person? So I've never been to a Destination D23. I have looked at it in the past, but a lot of the panels, I don't know if I'd be interested in. I have thought about it, but it doesn't really appeal to me too much. D23 Expo out in California. Now, I was lucky enough to go back in 2022, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I had wanted to go last year, but the costs just got extremely crazy in the way that Google had changed everything. It just wasn't financially viable anymore. So the idea of going next year, it's like, it would be nice, and I'd love to do it again. But I feel like it's a little bit, for me, like a little bit of a bucket list where I have done it. And if I never do it again, I at least did it. And I did it in style. I was able to get one of the VIP seats at the front. I got to do some interviews like with Bertie Gregory at the actual event in person with all the cameras. So for me, the one I did was, if I never ever went again, I'm so glad I did it. And it was a Disney bucket list. And I'm very much at the point now with Disney where I like to do different things. I like to mix it up a little bit. I would love to go next year, but just realistically, for me, the cost of getting out to LA, there's a 12-hour flight each way, accommodation. I also have a little bit of a personal problem with the arena situation, because with jet lag, when I get to like the West Coast, even the East Coast is not, it's bad, but it's not as bad. But when I get out to the West Coast, my body clock is out of whack for days. I know when I went last time, I got to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I had to go to bed because I'd been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. When we went last year to Vancouver, I mean, we were like 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to go out and get a McDonald's because we were like ready for the day. And it's like we got to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're back in the room for the rest of the night because it takes days to go into it. I know next time we go out to Florida, I think we know for the first 2-3 days, there's no point in trying to plan past 4 o'clock in the afternoon for us. We're old farts. We can't do till midnight. So that's where for me, I'd have to go out like 3-4 days before to then be able to stay awake for the panels. And then if to come back and then start writing about it, I mean, I just don't know physically. I might just do what I did last year, just have an all-nighter and just go to bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I think if but obviously I'm a little bit different because I've got to do coverage. I'm doing videos and I'm working there. But for you, if you've never been and you love Disney, go for it. You'll have a fantastic, and then mix it in with some days at Disneyland. You'll have the best Disney experience possible. Oh, and Miles, there, could you explain the reason why? So there we go. That was kind of my I did that one already for you. Kevin says, to answer the question, I think Disney met expectations since, as you said, Destination D23 isn't like their event in Anaheim. I think for those of us that understood it, got the message, I still think there's a lot of expectations and a lot of fake hype gets done on Twitter, for example. I saw a lot of people doing this. Especially Marvel is back. There's a lot of Marvel accounts that are basically lying and just doing clickbait and engagement bait, and we're just hyping the crap out of the event that we were going to see all this stuff and we'll get all these announcements. And even after the event, they were still lying about what people saw. And yeah, I think there's a lot of misinformation gets out about this one. Miles says, I would agree with the question. Destination D23 isn't like Disney's main event. Yeah, that's definitely it. Keenan says, I don't really care about Destination D23 because it's just announcements of theme parks, and I don't go to Disney parks because I'm from another state. You never go to the parks at all? Do you have any interest in it? I'm a massive theme parks fan. I'm not kidding. We've been looking all afternoon at possible trips. I'm definitely in the zone for it. But yeah, I think there's that thing of how often you go, and obviously the cost of it is getting very expensive. Oh, Miles says Hex is next year, not in 2 years. Oh, I thought it was there. And do you think Disney's going to make changes to marketing to avoid having another Elio flop? I hope so. Personally, maybe don't show anything until you're ready. Don't actually show us don't show us that trailer until next summer. Leave it. Leave that trailer. I know they'll find it hard, but literally leave that trailer until the June movie comes out, and then drop the trailer then. And then you spend the next couple of months driving at home. Get that awareness of it. Start putting in the trailers in front of everything. Start putting the posters up. Start putting things up at Disney World. Start spending some money promoting it, because Elio, I don't know if they just decided, a bit like with Strange World, where they went, look, this thing is just not going to work. Let's not spend any money on it. We're just going to do the bare minimum. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they do it. Noxus says, hope they advertise it better than they did with the Wish. Wish was a weird one because I think they did advertise it a lot. Come on, why am I not in focus? Come on, get me in. There we go. I think the problem with Wish was, I mean, there was some really good music in it. I think the story was a little bit wishy-washy. And I think people's expectations were a lot higher for it. But I mean, I still think Wish was a really lovely, lovely film. I'm just going to keep on this one. Right, so I'm just gonna try and let's jump into some of the pre-done questions. Let's get some of them out of the way. Elliot says, how did the transition from Hulu content coming to Disney Plus compared to when the Star Hub came to Disney Plus outside of the US? So I think the interesting thing was when the Hulu on Disney Plus Hub launched, honestly, it felt a little bit of, well, it was a complete surprise. We didn't know it was coming. It just turned on one day. And I remember literally, I think it was PJ, one of the members of a Facebook group and watcher. He put up these pictures, and I'm like, and I'll be honest, I didn't believe it. I thought it was all fake. I thought someone, and I'm like, can I have a look at your TV? And so he did like a FaceTime, and he showed me, and I'm like, holy shit, it's actually real. So a big thank you to him for helping me with that. But yeah, it was a bit of an unexpected, just it happened one day and just turned on. Whereas the Star launch was much more controlled. We knew it was coming. They announced it months at a time. There was an advertising campaign that was running alongside it. Disney even sent me a box full of stars and a cake to launch it. Yeah, it was. I'm not kidding, because literally this like here, I think was wrapped around the cake. And that's literally just and I've still got down here. I think this was still the box. This was the box that it all came in. So I've still got all that bits and pieces from the Star launch. But yeah, it was. I think it was a lot more polished with it. I think the Hulu brand is just going to change one day. I don't think we'll even get it. Kelly said, during Reliance annual meeting, Bob Iger made a pre-recorded appearance hyping up the success of Gylo Hotstar and teased some things coming soon. Could Hulu be coming to Gylo Hotstar? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you got the Hulu hub. I wouldn't be surprised if you did, because it would make sense for them to try and unify stuff. Very noticeable that if from my point of view, that the PR vision there is completely changed. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense in my eyes for them to have that Hulu hub, so they don't have to keep rebranding and doing advertising for the Hulu originals. Elias says, does this indicate that Disney does not care about Nielsen ratings as YouTube are ahead of them via the gorge? I would say they definitely do care. But I mean, if I was in charge of Disney right now, I probably wouldn't be looking at YouTube as, I mean, they are a competitor. You know, they are a competitor for in terms of the amount of things being watched. But also, I would kind of say, is YouTube a direct competitor to Disney Plus in the same way that Netflix or Amazon are? I would say no. I would put YouTube more in a category of Fortnite and video games and anything else, because YouTube is a very different beast. I mean, YouTube are paying for their content. You know, they're paying me to do this. In terms of, I'll get, a little cut of the ads. So depending on how well the videos do, I get paid from that. But they aren't spending millions of dollars on a TV show to make it in advance and with scripted drama. You know, it's a very different type of content. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I tend to watch stuff on Warhammer and Disney cruises and Disney theme parks and movies and Magic the Gathering and Beard Meets Food and things like that, and WWE, and there's a lot of stuff on there that I suppose there are some things that I'm watching differently. Like WWE, I tend to watch more on YouTube because it's quicker than watching the shows on Netflix. News, I've probably started watching a lot more of the highlights of the news through YouTube, because it's just I can get to the bits I want and skip through it. But I do also think that they are going after the YouTube audience. They know that that's where the kids are and that's where they need to be. I think that's definitely something that's important. But they are in a different category to me. It's a bit like YouTube, TikTok. You can't really, like, I do sit down on YouTube and watch, an hour and a half podcast. It's a little bit different to watching like this. Today we watched the new Thursday Murder Club on Netflix, and we just finished off Hostage on Netflix as well. So that's a very different experience than sitting down, because sometimes I'll put on like a podcast on my laptop or on my phone. Usually I'll just put a thing on and then just pop it here, and then kind of like then play Xbox or play PlayStation, etc. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, but yeah, I think it's very different. Kelly said, with Peacock now being available as an add-on for Amazon Prime, it's reported that Comcast is looking for more bundle options. Could you see a bundle deal with Disney? Maybe. I don't know if they will be more happy to work together. Honestly, I think we might get to a point where we're probably going to end up coming up with a cable bundle. I think we could end up coming up with some kind of. We're starting to see the internet companies are doing this, but I think they're all starting to realize that they need to reduce churn. And if it's kind of counterintuitive, really, isn't it? Because they want to do the bundles because it reduces the churn, but if they just reduce the price, it's like if you do the bundle, you save $2 more. Well, why not just reduce the price by $2 and maybe, or don't put the price up for the next 2 years and try and retain people that way? And I also wouldn't be at all surprised if we start seeing contracts coming in. I noticed recently, for example, here in the UK, Sky, if you want the new Sky bundle, which includes Netflix and Sky, which is basically Peacock and HBO Max together, it's like 15 quid a month. It's a 2-year contract. And if you want Now TV and you want to get the really good price, I don't know what the price is coming up now, so that's Now TV, because I did one last year. So Now TV. Let's just have a look here, because I know they again, this is Comcast, so this is the UK version of like Peacock. You can get Now TV for $6.99 a month, but you have to take it up for 6 months. And this is what Comcast is trying to do here, because they're trying to combat. They're doing it the opposite way around, trying to lock you in for contract. I mean, it's the same thing as maybe as an annual plan, but feels a little difference. Matt says Disney Plus needs to add more collections. It needs a refresh. I mean, internationally, Disney Plus has barely changed at all. All right, let's jump into the live chat. Let's see what we've got going on here. I'm just going to go from the top, make sure I didn't miss anything. Kayla says, Fantastic Four has officially pulled off the Elemental and hit 400 million at the box office. This was needed for Disney. I still don't think it's great. I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, it's acceptable. I don't think it's great. Kayla says he's also got the Q&A on the TV screen and Clash and Paris on the iPad to keep tabs on the early matches. Personally, Kayla, I would do it the other way around. You want to watch WWE on the big screen, and you can just put me off on the little phone and keep us on mute. Oh, not on mute because it'd be pointless, but you don't really need to watch me probably on the screen, because I'm probably like, I don't know how big the screen is, but my head on the screen is probably massive. Keenan says, are you sure it's a good idea to live stream during Clash in Paris? Probably not, but then this is my regular schedule, so this is what people are used to. It fits with my like. To be honest, even if I wasn't doing the live stream now, I probably wouldn't be watching Clash in Paris anyway, because my wife, we'd be watching TV together. Usually I watch the wrestling when my wife's gone to bed. So usually I can try and catch like the last. So tonight I'll probably try and catch the last hour live. And also, I mean, this is a much bigger box office. Let's see what else we've got here. Miles says Disney could release a trailer with Hoppers or Toy Story. I personally think they should hold off to Toy Story 5. I don't think it does them any favors getting out too early. I think Hoppers, they actually went too early. I still think they should have held off the Hoppers until Zootopia came out. Chris says, "What's with the popularity of EW season of the new season of King of the Hill? Do you think they'll do more than 2 seasons? Looks like it probably will do. Probably will do." Babak says, "I've seen a lot of confusion with the new ESPN. What can Disney do to help people understand? Keep it simple. Keep it simple." And this is where I think they made a mistake of not simplifying the SKUs beforehand. I think they should have been much more just like, look, yeah, we're getting rid of Disney ESPN Plus, and we're just having ESPN one thing. And if you're on that plan, you can have it for 6 months for this. Just bite the bullet and do it. I know it's going to cost them millions, but they in the long run, it's just confusing people. Okay, what's your opinion on as a tenure as chief brand officer for Walt Disney World and has recently become the president of Disney Entertainment Marketing? I mean, he can only do so much, can't he? I mean, the thing is with Elio, the trouble is sometimes is I think marketing's a very weird one. I see a lot of people complaining about, I didn't know this came out. There's been no advertising, no marketing. And I'm like, I always sort of sit there and think, the question is, have you just not seen anything? Because if you're using ad blockers, or you using the ad-free, if you're using, say you're using either the ad blocker version of stuff, or you're using the ad-free versions of streaming services on YouTube. Like I have YouTube Premium, so therefore I don't see any adverts on YouTube. So they can be chucking an Elio ad on in front of my videos every time I would never see it. So therefore that is going to reduce the amount of trailers I see. Also, marketing. Who are they marketing the movie at? Are Disney advertising a kid-friendly movie at single males? Probably not. They're going to target their audience on Facebook to mums and families. They can't go after kids, so that would be what they'd do. You know, my view of like advertising, and this is my like water cooler thing, is if I see the double-decker buses driving around the town with marketing on them, I know then that's when the show's got that extra level. So at the minute there's a lot of Alien Earth buses, and actually there was the Bear. There's a bit of a Disney Plus promotion going. So I saw at least a double-decker bus yesterday with the Bear on it, and I've seen one with Alien Earth. Elio did get some. Or if there's posters in the bus stops as well, you know, that's like advertising out in the real world. If there's something at the supermarket where I might see it, then this is, again, where you are going to see it in the real world, and are you going to be paying attention? I think we've just got a lot better at avoiding adverts, and so people don't think that they see them. Not every movie has the Avatar: The Way of Water kind of pop marketing campaign where they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars marketing it. You know, there's a less for it, and I think people are seeing less because, you know, if they're not watching linear television in the same way, you know, marketing in magazines and stuff, we don't, you know, if it's on the internet, you know, again, if I'm sure half the time of these people that are complaining about never seeing ads for stuff are like, do you actually see any ads, or are you ad blind? I don't know. That's just my take on that one. Keenan says ESPN Plus has less content, which is it is, but it's just unnecessary. I think he could do better. Yeah. Barbatronic says, do you think Disney Plus will put Disney Plus originals on the Disney Channel more often because Disney sees them as being equal? I think anything that comes from the Disney Channel division goes on both. And to be fair, I don't think Disney Plus originals are really much of anything anymore. I think most of that's going off. Chris says, the problem for me is when it comes to sports and just using streaming services, it is just a way too expensive to watch everything, and I want to watch since you must subscribe to 4 or 5 services. That is the problem with streaming services right now, for sure. Babak says, I would have expected more hype for Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, maybe activations or presentations. Again, it's not at the event. Pretty much when that presentation is on, there's nothing else. I don't think anything else going on. Unlike a Destination D23, you can have the arena and the halls, and there's loads of stuff happening all over the place. I believe with Destination D23, whatever's going on in that hall, that is all you've got. That's it. I mean, I don't know if they had anything at like Disney Springs or anything. Kayla says, so many weirdos are wishing for the MCU to fail. If the MCU goes under, the DC may decline in quality. To be honest as well, I think it's not so much the case of some of them wanted to shut down or go away because they don't like it. There's no point in denying that. There's some people that don't. I think you've got some people that think they want to get rid of it because it's cool not to like it. A bit like everything. Everything goes through that stage. Also, I think there is just too much engagement bait and too much money to be had from certain like Twitter accounts and YouTube channels where negativity works better and makes more money. This is a simple truth of that's just generally how it works. Keenan says, I couldn't afford to travel, and to be honest, I didn't have a job since October last year. Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that you're in that position. If I don't have a job since October, I mean, if you honestly, I would say this to anyone, if you're out of job, don't subscribe, you don't need to pay for money to me. I'd rather you put that towards bills and food and stuff. Don't waste. If you haven't had a job since then, don't waste money on me. I'd rather you spend it on things that you need. And I do appreciate your spot. I honestly do. But I'm just saying is if you financial circumstances, and this goes to anyone, if you've got a choice between paying a bill or paying me, you pay your bill. It's that I don't view me as in that important in any stretch of the imagination. And I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm just being honest with everyone. I when someone says, I've had to cancel because I've lost my job or I've had to go for it, just do it. I'm not that important in the wide scheme of things. Miles says the new Springs thing has received glowing reviews from the Telluride Film Festival, with it debuting with 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. What's your take on this? Probably be good. I've got no doubt that this movie is probably going to be very, very good. I'm looking forward to watching it because of Jeremy being in it. I don't really know Bruce Springsteen. I watched that documentary that came out, was it earlier this year or last year on Disney Plus? I'm not a big, I literally know like one song of his. It was a little bit like, this movie reminds me a bit of, what was the one from last year? Oh my word, what was that one? There was another biopic with Timothy Chalamet, and it's like I didn't read a Bob Dylan one. I just didn't really know. I don't really know the artist, so I didn't really have that connection with it. Whereas something like Bohemian Rhapsody, I was much more invested in because I was a huge Queen fan. Kayla said, to be fair, Wish promotions happened in the tail end of the strike and folks were anti. Yeah, I think it did suffer from that one. Ricardo says, this week on Disney got an interesting update. Similar content from the company and added the company logo appears in the bottom, similar to third-party content in Hulu. Yeah, we've got the same with ITV here in the UK. I think we are starting to see them. Disney Plus is adapting and evolving. It's becoming much more similar. Babak says, Disney should partner with a theater company and offer discounted theater tickets through Disney Perks to help boost it. They do that. They do offer discounts. Usually it happens like a month or two after the movie comes out. It's like a bit of a tail push. Babak says, we didn't get any cake for Hulu. No. Okay, so I remember Hulu launched on Disney Plus on a random Wednesday. I clearly remember it because it was the first thing I watched, and it was Cheers. Hi, Norm. So Suna says, do you think Disney should make less films? No. Actually, you've got another question that was very similar to that. I think they should be making more. And the reason I'm going to say this is use the studios. And I think they are drastically underutilizing 20th Century Studios. I think that is a studio that could be churning out 5, 6, 7, 8 movies a year. And that could help just give them a little bit of variety. Because, they could be put, like, to me, you put the Disney together, and when you've got Searchlight and 20th Century in there, it's like Swiped that's coming up. I think that should have gone to cinemas. I think they should be releasing all of their films in cinemas for a limited time. And I don't think, like, releasing something like, I don't know, say the new Roses movie, I think that is a very different audience to Fantastic Four and Elio. It's a different type of movie. And then they can put out a horror movie in like September. You can put out a holiday movie. You can put out, things like the Amateur and like the Bruce Springsteen movie. You can put them in on other weeks away from the big Marvel movies, etc., because they're a completely different audience. And I think Disney, they got a little bit like, I know they seem to focus on one title at a time. And I understand, like, if you're putting out Avatar, you don't want to put that out at the same time as a Marvel movie. And you don't you don't want to undercut your movies. But something like Lilo and Stitch and the Roses are not the same audience. And Freaky, I think they can make things a little bit easier. Bobatronic says, do you think Disney should make ESPN content included in the Disney Plus subscription plan? I think the trouble is, if they include ESPN directly into Disney Plus properly, you're going to see a massive price rise. It's probably going to be like $15-20 a month, probably more. Because that's how cable used to work, was that cable used to work on the concept that everybody paid for the sports. Because the American system was very different than here in the UK. We didn't have that. We had the a la carte. You had the movies, and you had the sports, and you had the entertainment, and you had the news, etc. And you put together your own bundle. We never got forced into paying for everything, whether or not you wanted it or not. Whereas you guys in America, cable just worked out the way of, if you want cable, you have to have all the channels or none of them. It was genius. But of course, the American companies got used to it, and that's why Comcast is desperately clinging onto it, and why Disney and Paramount, etc., are clinging to the thing, because it was guaranteed money, and cable is still bringing in money, and they were trying to redo that because they made everyone pay for it. And I think sports, if they put ESPN directly into Disney Plus, the price is going to have to go up for everyone to cover it. Miles says, which 20th century films could get a 40 HD treatment after Kingdom of Heaven, Master Commander, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I mean, I think they should be honest. They should just keep redoing them all anyway. Aaliyah says, I wonder why Nelson doesn't consider YouTube to be different. Disney is now premiering items on Disney and YouTube. So again, it's going after that audience, because YouTube has such a massive reach. Now, I disagree with the idea of what some of the things they're doing. I mean, I do think putting out like the new Disneyland show or the princess thing, I don't know if that comes under, because it almost gets classed as marketing for the theme parks rather than a TV show. But I do think it should debut on Disney Plus and then go to YouTube later, or at least at the same time. It just feels a bit weird of like, we're going to put it on YouTube first and then put it on Disney Plus. It's like, guys, come on. Like, you're charging people for this. I don't know. It just feels a bit weird. Okay, so do you find it interesting that Roman Reigns is one of the few people to appear on the first on the main roster PL? But he only does turn up for that anyway, doesn't he? Babak says, I've been liking what you need to know from ABC. I think they should also put it on TV, YouTube, because that section that advertises Disney Entertainment. Is it good? I mean, I haven't watched it. We don't get it here in the UK. It's a very much, the news stuff is all still very US focused. They don't tend to put it out everywhere. I think it might be some legal reasons for it, but hopefully people are watching it. Personally, it's like, just put the news on, just do a news show. And I mean, news is very quick. It has to be quick and fast. I mean, but then I find ABC News Live to be so tedious because the amount of ads, and American news often gets so obsessed with like one story. I don't like, here in the UK, if you sit down and watch the 6 o'clock or the 10 o'clock news, you'll get like, each story will have a couple of minutes, and then they move on to the next, and then they move on to the next, and then they move on to the next. The US news just seems to get obsessed with just one story and just holds on to it. And like, Jonathan, thank you very much for being a member for 26 months. Thank you so much. Will they have a Zootopia 2? Yeah, Zootopia 2 is coming out in cinemas in Thanksgiving, so I expect it to arrive on Disney Plus probably March-ish, Easter. Aaliyah says, do you see Disney having a bundle deal with Netflix? They just launched one in Canada this week where you can get Netflix, Apple TV, and Disney Plus. I think it's coming because I think they're all trying to keep their money together. Kayla says, when Comcast made Peacock as an add-on for Prime Video, that tells me we're in a new era of rebundling. I could see Peacock being an add-on for Apple TV. I could also see Disney Plus Hulu Peacock bundle. I think Disney's got to be careful that there's not too many bundles, because it's going to completely make it so complicated when people are signing up. Maybe they go down the other line and they go down the add-on line. That might be another way of doing it. Oh, you can add it on at a discount. Barbara Trolley says, do you think Disney should include ESPN Plus in the Disney Plus subscription to better compete with other streaming services? I think personally, just getting rid of I would definitely say get rid of just get rid of the tier. I think it just makes it easier. Keith said, I'm sure your life enjoys some TV shows and movies you don't like to watch. Yeah, generally, so how it works for us is I think we kind of have after being together so many years, we kind of have a kind of an understanding, really. There's shows I like that she hates, and there's shows that I like that she will tolerate, and there's shows that I like that she'll watch, and probably vice versa, where there's shows that she'll watch that I'm not going to watch. There'll be shows where I will tolerate, well, not tolerate, but it's okay, I'll keep watching it. And then there's shows that we watch together. Like at the minute, I'm really enjoying Alien Earth. She's not so keen on it, but we're watching it together, kind of thing. So we do, there's some shows. I mean, I think she's watching like Sweet Magnolias or something like that on Netflix. So the show she'll watch on her when I'm working, up here in the office. She'll just watch. There'll be some TV shows that she'll watch, and the same thing when she's in the office at work. There's some shows that I'll watch that she's not interested in. Things like, and I think that's it. Kind of, you have a compromise. And I think that's the successful way of there are certain TV shows where we'll watch them and she might be like, or even I'll be like, I'll just say to her, you carry on with this. I'm not interested in it. You carry on with it. Or we just go, neither of us like it. Every show kind of hits a different mark. And it's kind of, again, different shows and that's kind of how we work. Public says, tell them they need to follow what's on Disney Plus. Yeah, always do. Noxo says, do you think Disney will stop making Disney Plus originals after the multiverse saga ends, or do you think they'll continue to make it? I think we're going to see a lot less. I think we're probably still going to get one TV show a year, at least live action, but it's going to be a street level, like Daredevil kind of low end like version. I think we're still going to get cartoons, but I think Spider-Man and X-Men 97, both of those shows I predict will be gone for when Secret Wars ends. Both of those shows will be gone as well, and then they'll be, because they're multiverse shows now, essentially. So I imagine then they'll reboot with a fresh new cartoon, and a fresh new Spider-Man cartoon, and maybe an Avengers cartoon or something like that after Secret Wars. But yeah, they are scaling back full sent. And as Kay says here, it's scaled back a ton since Marvel television shows won't be marketed as required viewing. I also think they've overcooked it and they're too expensive. Kayla says, I don't really pay my bills because I live with my dad and stepmom, and I go to my stepdads. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad you've got them, and you pay for the YouTube membership with Google Play gift cards. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I really do. But as I said, if you can't, don't worry about it, mate. It's totally understandable. A complete unknown. That's what I was thinking of. More like Christmas money. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that so much. What is the future of D23 as so sooner? Well, I think I'm not sure how long it's going to survive in its current format. I think there's definitely life in it, and there's money to be made, and I think Disney having something does make sense. But I think the current format might change around a little bit. This year I downgraded my subscription to like the $50 one, because I thought the merchandise wasn't so good. I mean, like, I don't know if you can see it, but up here there's like the Mickey Mouse thing that came like last year. That was really cool. But this year's box wasn't really that impressive. The only thing, I think the only reason I got it still was that I wanted that Lorcana card. Matt says, what features would you like to see Disney Plus use that Hulu app uses? An expiring section would be cool. That would be a good way of doing it, definitely. And I quite like the idea that they're going to incorporate add-ons and live TV. Knoxwave says, I like that Netflix finishes or releases K-pop Demon in the big screen since it's trending on Netflix. We kind of wish it wasn't limited. To be honest, that's very much on the lines of they know there's money to be made with this. Kelly says, Matt, for me, I like to see a thumbs up, thumbs down on Hulu to Disney Plus. That way I can tell Disney what I like. Yeah, that's a good idea. Matt says, what 20th century film did Dixie Disney bring back from the past? Not sure what that is. Do you think they should add ABC News to Disney Plus? Like if your Max has seen it. We have ABC News Live anyway. So that in the US, it's just we don't have it internationally at the minute. Kelly, I think ABC is sufficient enough. I don't use Disney Plus to watch news. I mean, I think news is important. I enjoy watching news. And I do think that they should have, I think including ABC News into Disney Plus is a good step forward. Because, again, it's offering more choice, more live content, more variety. Jonathan says, will they do a Conan the Barbarian 2? Probably not. Right, so if you were the chairman of Walt Disney Studios, what would your key priorities be? Let me know. For me, I would definitely be along the lines of every movie goes out, it's cinema first, then goes to digital, then goes to Disney Plus. Then goes to TV and other things later on. I would be much more inclined to have what I would call like an A-class movie, like a top tier movie every month, and then have a B-class movie each month. So I would have 24 movies a year coming out, maybe even up. I mean, I think a movie a week is too much for them. I don't know if they could sustain that output. But if you start chucking in Searchlight Pictures, I think they should invest more in movies that and just family-friendly movies. They don't have to be massive, cheap. So more like not necessarily TV movies, but family-friendly movies that you can just, because it's like this afternoon I watched the new the Thursday Murder Club, and it was a really nice little movie just to watch. It wasn't amazing, but I enjoyed it. But something like that would be quite cool. Aaliyah says, how do you see D23 evolving? I like the Disney plan, work and pack and book, so selected that one, but not the option to get all the items. I didn't like that whole option of having all the different things. I mean, I don't mind having the pins and the badges and the stuff. I think that's all pretty cool. But for me, again, they don't do a lot of it. If I lived in Walt Disney World or near Disneyland, you get it. But for me, I'm not entirely sure about doing it. Mara says, do you think there'll be another Marvel Spotlight project, either as a film or television? I don't know if The Punisher is going to come under that. And again, if they're not releasing enough of them, I think that brand becomes pointless. Pablo says, I'm thinking of canceling my Hulu Live because I can't afford it anymore because I pay $118 a month. I would like to rewatch every big event in the last 9 months, but my income is certainly uncertain. I mean, personally, for me, I would say, do you need it? How much are you watching? Where can you cut your costs? How many streaming services do you need? Can you have you got an aerial? The bunny ears. Can you watch live TV through that? So if you want to watch the news, how much of it can you watch on YouTube? I think the problem is making that cut from cable and satellite is always the hardest. But I think if you've got, and maybe also make sure you're just on the ad-supported tier. So if you've got Hulu and Disney Plus, maybe I would personally be like Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, and maybe a third one. That might be a new, if you get the ad and maybe get the HBO Max deal get that bundle for Disney Plus, all with ads and Netflix. And I mean, you should have enough entertainment. It depends on obviously if you want to follow all your sports, etc. That's where it really kicks in, really. So that's what personally. $118 is a lot right now. For example, for me, I have Netflix with ads, Disney Plus, but I have that not ads, and I have Apple TV Plus. And I have YouTube Premium. But I mean, I kind of almost consider that to be something I need for work, but also I actually use YouTube Music now. I got rid of my Spotify and went over to YouTube Premium, so therefore I use YouTube Music for my music when I'm listening. So that kind of counterbalanced that kind of thing. Matt says, you think Netflix would put their movies in theaters? They are very much in a different model than everybody else. They are a streaming company. Noxo said, I heard that Star Wars Starfighter has started filming. Are you excited for it? Yeah, I'm looking forward to something different. Definitely looking for something a little bit different. I'm just curious to see where you think it's going. I think it's going to end up becoming a free tier within Disney Plus, because that's what Bob Chapek always wanted. He wanted the Disney Plus subscription to be that, so you get all the bonuses. And just imagine, like, if they turned around and was like, right, we've got a special tour coming up. The D23 are doing some tours of the Walt Disney Studios. But if they go select Disney Plus, so people can get it. I think it's a bit of a prompt then to get over from kind of as a Disney Plus perk. I don't know. I mean, it depends how much money the Disney D23 memberships bring in. I can't imagine it's a huge amount. I think it's quite niched, but I don't know. I think the theme always feels a little bit more aimed at the theme parks than at the movie side of things. Kelly said, I would opt for the free membership since I don't mind occasional newsletters. Yeah, I think there should be some more like independent freebie ones. Yes, there is going to be a new Bluey movie. Keenan says, use YouTube TV. It's cheaper than Hulu Live TV. It is, but it depends on, again, I think it depends on what you're watching on it. Actually sit there and work out how often are you watching live television. Aaliyah asks, why did Disney Plus or Disney premiere the Disney Princess concert on YouTube and Disney Plus? I think, again, that's probably more of a marketing for Disneyland. So it's getting that reach to get people to go to Disneyland. That's why I think that's there. Elliot asks, do you think Disney Plus in the US will catch up with the rest of the world once everything settles after the merger? I don't know if it's ever going to fully catch up with the US. I think the US is always the main core market, and they're going to get stuff that the rest of us don't. But I do hope that when America's caught up with us in terms of the Star Hub, etc., that we can then start seeing, like, when Disney Plus and Hulu fully merge, then we can have like Family Guy and Futurama avatars, and the collections can be updated, and there's no more of this line, and it can be a bit more put together. Bobak says, do you think Disney will launch ESPN internationally in the near future, or do you think they're going to wait? This one's awkward because I thought for sure that we were going to get the ESPN hub like now for the like window of football or something. And we've got the NBA coming up. I would have thought we would have had it by then, but there's no mention of it so far. I was surprised that they've leased out the college football and college basketball and stuff to the Zone. I was surprised. That kind of like, well, you're licensing out your sports. Again, that might just be because it's just for this upcoming season, which covers over 2025, 2026, was technically a multi-year deal until they're ready to launch it, and then maybe next year. That's the only free thing I can think of, which is what Kelly asked. Disney ESPN announced that sub-licensing, it'll be mostly pro sports. And also, again, I can't probably stress this enough. I'm not entirely sure how much interest there is in US college sports outside of America. Because I'm not going to lie, it doesn't make any damn sense to me. College, for us, college sports isn't a thing. Maybe you have the college, the rowing contest every year between Oxford and Cambridge, but college, it's not, it's not a game. It's nothing that we watch. Our sports don't really work like that. So I don't know if that's why they've subleased it out, because there's just not a lot of interest in it. Matt says, when Hulu fully merges, do you think we'll get some new features all at once, or we'll get them slowly? I think slowly. And I think that's the best option for them anyway. Bobak says, did Disney do any Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN activations at D23? Should they have made a bigger deal of the new ESPN? Again, it's not, I don't know if they have anything, but it's not like there's a big hall full of things for you to go and do, like at Star Wars Celebration or San Diego. It's very much like, here's the main presentation. They do have stalls and stuff, but it's not on that same level, and there's not enough people in there. So you can imagine if they've got a presentation on, there's probably hardly anyone actually walking around. So they probably do have some activations and stuff, but not in the same way. Tim says, is the Star brand going to rename to Hulu next month? Don't know when, don't know how, but they have said fall, and tomorrow is the start of fall. So I would predict that they're probably more likely going to do it in September to get ready for the new winter season. But who knows? It could. I literally could wake up tomorrow and that could be on there. Barbara Tronic says, any updates about the A&E sell-off? Nothing yet. Keenan says, do you think Disney Plus should do more live concerts, maybe once every 3 months? I think it's something that they miss out on. And it's something that they could do that Netflix and that couldn't do. And they could maybe incorporate it into, they've done a Disney one, they do a Disney Princess one, and then they do something like the Rose Bowl, and then they do, I don't know. It kind of feels to me like they could do more of them. But again, it's just costs. I mean, I like them to do a Christmas one, but again, they seem to like pre-recording everything because it's a lot easier for them. Miles says, what are your thoughts on the announcement of the upcoming movie Hex? I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks pretty good. I did speak about that earlier. Obertroning says, do you think Disney will put their streaming services in the next renewal with YouTube TV? As long as YouTube is willing to pay, they'll get it. That's it, really. Tim asks, what are your thoughts on the match card for WWE Clash in Paris with the final PLE to be on Peacock in the US? Not going to lie, Peacock side of things doesn't really bother me because it doesn't impact me. I'll watch on Netflix later today. And as Stephanie McMahon says, maybe just use VPN. That'll work. It seemed okay. I'm not entirely convinced with the Fatal 4-Way. That was a good idea. I think CM Punk versus Logan's good. I went to Cardiff a couple of nights ago and went to the Road to Clash in Paris house show. They don't do that many of them anymore. So I got to see CM Punk team up with Penta and Sami Zayn versus the Judgment Day. Got to see some fantastic matches. LA Knight teaming up with Rey Fenix versus the Wyatt Six, which was a really weird tag team match. Joe Hendry took on The Miz. Alexa Bliss took on, who did she take on? She took on Roxanne Perez. So I only watched WWE Live 2-3 nights ago in person. Fantastic. I kind of wish that they did more house shows, but they seem to be hardly doing any now. Elliot says, what are you expecting forward to watching on Disney Plus this fall? Grey's Anatomy is always a favorite of mine. Looking forward to watching Wonder Man, Percy Jackson. What else have we got? That new All's Fair, that could be a bit interesting. Zombies. Marvel Zombies is definitely one I'm looking forward to watching. That's definitely it. Marlo says, with the recent cancellation of the live adaptation of The Aristocrats, do you think this is part of Disney's desire to focus on more original live action films? Yes and no. Yes, it is. I also think they probably decided against it because it was going to cost too much to make. A lot of CGI doing all those cats. And is that film, does it have that? I think the trouble is does it have that connection with audiences in the same way that, I don't think it has it in the same ways like Lilo and Stitch or Aladdin. I grew up watching The Aristocrats. I've seen it so many times I couldn't even count. But I do wonder if are they going to be interested in it? Are they going to want to watch? Is it just too expensive? And are they going, right, look, we need to cut these back. It's just not working. Is it controversial in some way that they've just decided not to carry on? Keenan said, I heard the WWE draft will air live on ESPN. Do you think it would be like the NFL draft? Probably not as long-winded. I don't know if it's better than doing it on Raw. Personally, I always felt a bit naff, a bit crap, because I'm not being funny, but if you said to me, it's like, so I was at a house, like I said, I was at the house show a couple of days ago. It was a super show, so therefore it's all interblended between the brands. And it's a little bit hard for me right now to tell you who's on whose brand because they're constantly jumping and swatching around a bit. that I don't actually, the draft doesn't really work for me in the fact if I don't necessarily know who's on whose brand, because they're constantly jumping around. It just doesn't really matter the same way. Babak says Disney Studios have 16 films coming out in 2025. Do you think that's too many? Nope. As I said before, I think variety is the key. It's the spice of life. Aaliyah says of the September Disney Plus arrivals, which one are you most looking forward to? Marvel Zombies. And just more Alien Earth. That show is awesome. And more Murders in the Building. Barbatrana says, do you think Disney movies are more watched on streaming than in the movie theatre? Yeah, I think so. And Keenan also asked about the live action remake. So I kind of went over that one. Right, so now I'm going to jump into the live action one, the live questions. I'm going to see if we can get these wrapped up, and then we can all go watch Clash in Paris. Caleb says YouTube TV and Hulu Live TV aren't too far off in terms of price. One of the reasons I stuck with Hulu Live TV is due to the Disney bundle. That's very good. Knoxway says, I heard a rumor that Patty Jenkins claims she's back working on Rogue Squadron. If it's happening, I hope it's true. I hope it's true too. I think it would be a good idea for them to do it. I also think it was a massive, massive, massive mistake with them announcing it when they did. They should wait until they get the actual script together, the actors together, and maybe actually even start filming it. Matt says, do you think when Disney Plus and Hulu fully merge, we'll get some collections all around the world? Yeah, I think so. Babak says, do you think Disney will ever have a global platform like Netflix? Well, I would say yes. They're in like 160 plus countries. I still do question what they did in India. I still feel like a weird thing for them to do. But I suppose it makes sense with what they're trying. I think the trouble is they literally decided that they had to focus on money. And so launching in any country, which is not like what they consider a top tier one, which doesn't bring them in a lot of amount of money, just went right out the chute, and they just don't seem to care about it. Elliot says, that's why I think Disney doesn't view YouTube as a threat because of grifters. I wish Nielsen would stop including YouTube on the gorge because their outlooks are wacky and exhausting. The trouble is like I said, I just don't consider YouTube. And why is TikTok not on the list as well? It's a little bit like they are not. You're comparing apples and oranges here. They are entertainment, but why aren't we including? I don't know. To me, just YouTube, and I know you obviously got live TV, and so it just doesn't really. It's not the same. If you're sat here now watching me now on YouTube, how on earth is Disney and Netflix supposed to compete with me, streaming from my spare bedroom that I've turned into an office? It's hardly I'm hardly on the same budget as Wednesday or Stranger Things here. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. Kelly says, I feel college sports isn't popular outside of America, since in Europe, soccer is the cultural king. For India, it's cricket. Yeah, and again, it's on at the wrong times. It features sports that we don't really have as our main sports. And why should we give a hoot about a college in Nebraska? We've got no connection to it. YouTube is more of an indirect competitor. Yeah, I would view YouTube more like I said, like Fortnite. It's a competitor for time. I don't think it's a direct competitor in terms of the product. Marv says, do you think Hoppers could debut its main trailer either with the release of Toy Story, Tron, Zootopia, or I would do it with Zootopia and Fire and Ash. That's what I would do. Will they have a Clifford the Big Red Dog this summer? I have no idea on that one. Did Disney even make that one? Babak says, I also saw the movie The Roses. It was hilarious. I highly suggest it. I'll watch it when it comes out on digital. That'll be how will it be there. Kelly says Triple H needs to get back to what they did in 2023, where Raw was the host brand and SmackDown is more technical. However, it might be lost as I don't think he's lost his marvels. I just think that they are just firing in all the cylinders. Matt says, do you think Only Murders in the Building will end after 5 seasons? I do personally think that they need to wrap this show up. My worry is generally it's just Martin Short and Steve Martin. These guys are in their 70s and 80s. What physically can they do? What mentally can they do? And let's just be fair. If sadly one of them was to pass away tonight, would you be surprised? I always find it weird when a celebrity dies of, when they're in, they're old, where it's like, when they're in their 80s or something like that, I don't necessarily consider that to be a surprise. If when someone dies in like 40s, 50s, yeah, I get it. But, I mean, how old is Martin Short now? Martin Short is 75 years old, and Steve Martin is 80 years old. Now, let's just, Steve Martin is 80 years old. Now, he is incredibly, good at, but I think we have to be realistic of like how many years can they keep doing this? Steve Martin I hope they do plan to wrap up. I think 5 seasons is one hell of a way to go out. And how many murders can they do at this point? The only thing that they could probably do is if they kill off one of the 3, and then I don't know, but I think it's probably best to go on that. Keenan says, I don't know there's going to be an actual re-release of Toy Story for its fairy tale. I thought, no, they're doing it. Babatron says, do you know if Disney will own Fubo Sports in the Disney Fubo deal? I would assume that they would own 80% of it, or whatever it is that they're going to own of it. So they would do. Jonathan says he's going to be making his WWE debut on Monday. Good. You can go in the middle of the ring. Wait. Bob said, Iger did acknowledge that Disney does not understand the Indian market, hence why they did do the joint venture with Reliance and Gilo, since Reliance had the tech while Disney had the tape library. I do think this is the difference. I think there was a little bit of, when they brought Fox, I think there was that kind of thing of they had this asset, and in countries do work a little bit differently, and Europe works a little bit differently than America. Even countries within Europe work differently than America, and Africa is different to Latin America, and different markets work a little bit different. There are some things that work globally, and generally we are much more global as a world now. We do that, but it's definitely a thing really for I think they realized their weakness of they were trying to compare India to other regions, and it does work differently, and I think the Reliance deal allows them to keep a finger on the pulse without maybe they can kind of take the back seat and just like let the brand do what it needs to. And I do wonder if they also are looking at it along the lines of they don't make as much money out of an Indian consumer, and therefore it's like, is it effective for? Because I mean, at the time, I think a Disney Plus subscriber in Hotstar subscriber was making them like $1 a month compared to $8 a month for those in Europe. So having 60 million so I mean, they essentially could have 80 million subscribers in India was equivalent of 1 million subscribers in America. And so that was why I think they've got like 300 million subscribers on Gilo Hotstar, which suddenly would make Netflix seem tiny. But if they're only making $1 per, it's a lot. It's just so much less. Knoxway said Steve might retire after act. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if he should retire. If he can still do it and wants to do it, I think he should do, and that will definitely keep your faculties and keep going. But I think the realistic side of him creating a TV show every summer is a little bit unrealistic. Right. Okay. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for all of your support this week. A big thank you again to everyone on the live chat that's joined in. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, same channel. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. If you're into your WWE, go now enjoy Clash in Paris. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. Tally ho, later, TT FM.